So as a creator that travels a lot, I use multiple different devices for my work, like my PC and my MacBook, and I oftentimes find myself using both of them at my desk. And while using my PC at my desk is amazing, using my MacBook isn't the best, mainly because of the USB ports. The fact that the MacBook Air only has 2 USB ports and one of them is used for charging makes the MacBook Air extremely hard to use on a desk with multiple different monitors, especially if you need to start offloading data and all of those extra things. But all of that has been made so much easier thanks to this one single device. This is the BenQ BeCreatus DP1310, and this is one of those devices that I feel every desk can benefit from. So let's take a look at it. So if we take a look at what's inside the box of the BenQ BeCreatus, we will immediately be greeted with the quick start guide that shows you everything you need in terms of connecting different devices and where to connect them. Plus it also shows you where to download the display link driver, which is important. And at the back it shows you everything that is inside the box. Below that you will find your extended warranty card, and then for the main show you have the BenQ BeCreatus DP1310. I love this wrap that they have it in, but then as soon as you slide it out, you're greeted with the unit, which I feel looks really good, mainly because it isn't too flashy. But then they'll also just remind you once again to download the software just in case you decided not to read the quick start guide, which is probably most of us. Then you also have your USB 3.2 cable that allows for up to 4K video transfer and charging of devices, as well as a 1.8 meter HDMI 2.1 cable that allows for up to 8K video pass-through, so it does future-proof you as well. And then lastly, you have your power cable and power brick, which you will need to power this unit. So what makes this thing really cool is the dual connect mode, and what that allows you to do is connect 2 different devices, one via HDMI 2.1 and one via USB-C. Connect your 2 or 3 monitors to the output ports at the back, and then you can seamlessly switch between the 2 input devices with a simple click of a button. Now what's nice is this light will either be blue or green depending on the source that you are connected and showing on the displays. For example, if the light is blue, you are on the USB-C source, and if the light is green, you are on the HDMI 2.1 source. So for my use case, I do have a desktop PC and a MacBook, which I use for different reasons, and I oftentimes find myself switching between those two. Now in the past, I usually just used a USB-C to HDMI cable to connect to one of my monitors, but it, number one, doesn't charge my MacBook, which once again is a pretty big deal because the MacBook Air only has 2 USB-C ports. So in the past, I've oftentimes found myself having to either unplug the second monitor if I need to, for example, charge the MacBook while dumping footage, or if I have an external mouse and keyboard connected, I can't have that connected and charge it and have the monitor connected unless you buy a bigger USB-C dongle, which I have done as well. But once again, it is fairly limited and it does get slightly cluttered on the side of that MacBook. Then secondly, switching between the sources on my monitors do take quite a fair bit of time. And yes, this isn't the biggest issue, but if you're sitting and you're working with both of these and you have to switch between the sources 5, 6, 7 times, it does add up, so that it does get quite annoying. Now, I have to admit, this isn't something that I do oftentimes where I have to switch between them, but sometimes I'll be working on the one, maybe exporting and then just plugging in the other one and working a little bit. So it does happen every now and then, but it's not that often that it really is a massive problem. Now, of course, you can also connect a console to the HDMI 2.1 like a PlayStation 5, and then you can have your PlayStation 5 connected to the HDMI 2.1, and then maybe your PC, your MacBook, or even a Mac, and then just use that to switch between your working station and the PlayStation 5, depending on which one you're using. And that way you can seamlessly switch between work and play. Let's say you're taking a slight break while exporting a video, or if you're just done with work, you can simply just switch the source and your PlayStation is ready to go. Now the BenQ BeCreatus DP1310 does support up to 4K 60 via the USB-C port and up to 4K 120 or 8K 60 if connected to one monitor via the HDMI 2.1 port, or then 4K 60 if you are connecting multiple monitors via that output. All of the USB ports are also fast charging to different degrees, where the back port is 100 watt, the USB-C on the front is 36 watt, and the 2 USB-A ports are 7.5 watts. Then at the back, you'll also find USB ports for mouse and keyboard connection, as well as an Ethernet port if you'd rather want to go wired compared to using your device wirelessly. And then on the front, you also have an audio jack if you want to connect your headphones directly to that, compared to maybe connecting it to your PC directly. The USB ports also allow for up to 10 gigabit per second transfer rate, and the unit can be placed either flat or upright depending on your desk space or configuration. And since it is made from aluminium, the entire body acts like a heatsink, keeping all of the internal components nice and cool. Now, setting up this unit is actually fairly easy, and it doesn't require a lot of effort from your part, apart from the few considerations that you might need to do up front, which is going to be which devices you're actually going to be connecting to this unit. Now, once you have decided which devices you want to use, I would highly suggest downloading the actual drivers for this, just to make sure that you have the drivers installed and it works correctly. For example, on my MacBook, if I don't have the drivers installed, I can only connect one monitor, but as soon as you have the drivers installed, you can actually connect multiple monitors. So I've been using it with the 2 monitors that I have. So I have a 3 monitor setup with my MacBook, which is amazing. Now, once you have downloaded the drivers, you've connected this unit to power, and you've connected all of your devices to this, you can simply hold down the power button for 3 seconds and it should power on. Then it really is as simple as clicking this green button to switch between all of your sources. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've tried out a bunch of different configurations, switching between my PC and my MacBook, my Ally and my MacBook, my PlayStation 5, all of these different configurations to try and see how I can get the most out of this unit. And this is what I actually came up with. So for me, I won't be using it with my PC at all, mainly because the maximum resolution that I can get out of this unit is 4K 120Hz, and I do have a 4K 140Hz monitor, meaning that I do slightly lose out a bit. So even though 4K 120Hz is amazing, it just isn't enough for my use case. So for me, in my use case, I have my PS5 connected to the HDMI 2.1 port, and then I have my USB-C port, which I use for my MacBook if I'm working at my desk. And then I also connect my Ally to it if I want to use my larger display. And I have an entire video on how I will be using this unit with the Ally and a steering wheel to have an entire racing sim rig. So if you want to actually watch that video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe on this one, and then be sure to stick around for when that video actually gets released. Now, it's also just really convenient to connect my Ally to this unit to have a larger display to play my games on. And since you can connect Bluetooth controllers to the Ally, you can easily play single player games with your controller on the Ally and then just have a larger display. And because it delivers power via that USB-C port as well, you are getting the most out of your Ally, and it also almost becomes a second PC. The use cases are honestly up to your imagination and of course the devices that you use. For me, it's really convenient to be able to charge all of my devices, whether that's my smartphone, my smartwatch, whatever it is, just via this one unit on my desk is really convenient. And being able to connect my MacBook with one single cable and have it charge and have multiple different displays as well as multiple different USB ports has really improved my workflow. And after using this for a couple of weeks, I really won't be able to go without this device anymore. So before, even though my desk wasn't cluttered, I had to keep a bunch of different cables, a bunch of different dongles, especially for my MacBook, just in case I need to work at my desk and have them all be in a spot where I can easily just grab them. And sometimes I did leave them on my desk, which could clutter up the space a little bit. But now I can just keep this one unit on my desk. It looks nice and clean, and I have one USB-C to USB-C cable that I need if I want to connect my Ally, my MacBook, or anything else. And then of course my PlayStation just stays connected to the HDMI port, and all of that just makes your desk look so much cleaner. The aesthetics and the colors just happen to fit with my desk setup extremely well, which I'm really happy about. And honestly, since it is a neutral color, it should fit on most desks really easily without shouting for attention. And once again, because it can lie flat or stand up, it should work for most people. Now, like I said, you can use this device with any of your consoles, whether that is your Switch, an Xbox, your PlayStation 5, or if you just want to connect different laptops or different desktop spaces to this, you really can do all of that. But having this just for my MacBook alone is definitely 100% worth it. Like, I would literally go out and buy this device to have a MacBook set up with multiple different monitors and have more USB ports, like 100%. Now, there are different USB-C dongles out there that allow you to actually connect to your MacBook, for example, and then have an HDMI port which you can use to connect to a different monitor, have a USB-C port to charge everything. But those do tend to add a lot of clutter on your desk, like I said before. and it doesn't solve the problem of adding multiple different displays. So with this one little setup, like I said, I can have 2 displays plus my MacBook display to have a 3 display setup, and everything is nice and clean because it's just one single cable. For me, the BenQ BeCreatus DP1310 is a great device for anybody that needs a hub for their desk where they can switch between different devices, as well as use it for charging for your smartphone, tablet, your watch, wherever you may need it for. All of that in a neat little package. Now, this does mean that one of your devices needs to be able to connect via USB-C port and the other via an HDMI port. But if you use a MacBook, for example, like I do, you are able to connect with one single cable, have multiple displays, have different charging cables. But honestly, most laptops out there today also use one single USB-C cable to charge, have display out. So most newer laptops should work. It's not just MacBooks. Most newer laptops should be able to do that. And then of course you have the added benefit of having consoles and handhelds like the Ally being able to connect via USB-C as well to connect to multiple different monitors. And of course, if you can connect to your PC, you can connect your PC via USB-C as well, and then have the HDMI free for a console, whatever else that you may need it for. But what are your thoughts on the BenQ BeCreatus DP1310? Is this something that you could use on your setup? Is this something that you are in need of? And is this something that you are actually interested in buying? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me down there as well. And then, as always, until next time, cheers.